love your Sally. Looks like my house.
Okay, let's try that. Let's see how we can do with that. Sally, you want to start?
Sure, I'll go ahead and get started, and hopefully people can hear all right. I just wanted to say a couple of things about the brochure and the artwork. If you've received the email from me and also your USB or print copy of the manual, you'll know that some of the art was not the right choice for us to use, trying to represent Native American people. And so we are removing that from the website, from we're removing the posters, and the poster will now be this image here that you can see on the brochure, because what we did unintentionally, but that's no good excuse, is we used images that were sacred to certain Native American people and put them next to things that we all pretty much agree are not true, like fairy tales and myths. And so that denigrated their religion, and we did not mean to do that. We were trying to be inclusive, but again, that's no excuse. So there'll be some different things. As you look on the web page to order, you'll see that these posters are no longer there and probably won't be, but so we're doing this poster for people to order. And also the other thing, two other things I want to point out, and then I'll start talking about books. Inside, we use this information that Demco always used. If you order by December 1st, you'll get it by March 1st. Actually, that's way too long, because this is the first year we're using a different company, and when you order it, they ship it out. It doesn't sit around for 3 months. No, it's coming to you. So go ahead and order what you want when you're ready, and they will ship it to you. The only reason it would be delayed a little bit is if we were out of one of the things you wanted, but they'll try to get that in again real quickly so that it won't have to wait too long. So I don't want people, I know December 1st is coming up and people are starting to stress about if they haven't gotten their manual yet. The other thing I have to mention is if you received a USB manual, please check it now, because some of them have bad files in them. They have corrupted files. And let me know, and I'll send you another one, and I'll ask you to send that one back so I can turn it in and get replacement ones. And I apologize for that. I don't know how that happens, but it did. So I just wanted you all to know that. Moving on, I'm going to see if I can share my presentation now. Share. Make that full screen if I'm lucky. Okay, now can you see my Imagine Your Story green background? Can you see my slide over there? Wave if you can see it. Thank you. Okay, then we're ready to go, and I'll talk fast as usual, and we'll talk about some picture books that will fit the theme. The first one being, I bet some of you have already thought about an egg box dragon as a craft for this coming summer, and this book will go great with doing that craft. This is a story about a dragon who's crafted from an egg carton, and then he comes to life. He is a bit mischievous, but he's also friendly, and he is very good at finding things, so that's great. One day the queen asks him to help her because the biggest diamond from her crown is missing, and it is up to Egg Box Dragon to find it, and he is on the case. So that's a lot of fun to go with your craft. A boy wakes up in the morning remembering that today is his first day of school, and his mom has told him he will be the king of kindergarten, so he has to behave appropriately. It's very fun because the theme is carried. The school bus is a big yellow carriage, and his mom told him to greet everyone with a brilliant, majestic smile. So he puts his best face forward to start kindergarten, makes friends, and has a wonderful day with that little pretend crown on his head the whole time. That's him remembering that he is the king of kindergarten. This is a fictional look at many people who do the best they can every day, and They are truly brave princesses because they look for the positive and they strive to be their best, and they are everyday people. All of us and anybody else you run across who's working hard to help people is a truly brave princess. Well, it's a snow day and they're stuck inside, and Alice announces that she is King Alice the First, and she has decreed that she and the brave knight, who is her father, will write a book about whatever she wants. And so this snow day is mostly Dad working with her to write different chapters in the book. The first chapter is what we have for breakfast. And her mom is in the background, but she's very supportive, and she's taking care of her baby brother, also known as Night Baby. It's very fun, and I can see a kid really getting into this role if they get the chance. And it's also a good look at how to write a book, how to write a story. Chapter 1 is this, chapter 2 is that, and she draws the art for the book, and this included in this book. So it's a book inside a book. Oh, this is so fun. Enzo the dragon has a cold, and every time he sneezes, sparks fly, and worse. His mother tells him to cover his sneeze, but it is driving him nuts, and he's not happy, and he doesn't feel good. So he's gonna go somewhere else. So he runs away, he flies away, and he sneezes over the fields and starts fires, and the people are running ahead of him until finally the royal magician steps up and tells him he has a cure, plenty of fluids and plenty of rest. But that is not what Enzo wants. But finally, Enzo drinks some magical brew and he falls asleep. And he feels a little better after that. And it's something you can talk with the kids about. What else might happen if a dragon caught a cold? Or another creature? Ooh. A girl and boy are dueling storytellers. The boy brings in conflict. The girl is talking about, oh, the princess is having a lovely day, and she has her, ta-da, everything is great. And in comes a boy going, dun, dun, dun. Then the dragon appears. And the girl goes, yes, but ta-da, the dragon is friendly. And so it goes back and forth with them telling a story of terrible things and then how things are better. So it's with conflict and resolution throughout the story. This is very cute. This is an activity book in a way, because it starts off with a page that has a picture of an egg with a crack in it, and the narrator says, oh, this egg is about to hatch. Don't turn the page. But of course you turn the page and out hatches a dragon. And the narrator says, oh, what a cute little dragon. Just scratch her on her little nose. So you do that and you turn the page and she sneezes and here comes the sparks. She started a fire in the book. So then you have to put the fire out, and it goes through these things, and kids will just love that. And that is a very cute dragon, so it's kind of hard to resist. It's a fun book. I really like this one. It has such a great message in it. Tamika loves to dance and sing and has performed before an audience before. When Mulberry Primary, Tamika's school, announces auditions for Snow White the musical, she is ready. She is so excited. But then she overhears some of her schoolmates saying that she isn't right for the role. She's too tall, or she's too chubby, or she's too brown. She feels bad, and she talks to her mom at home, and her mother and her father both tell her, you are tall enough, chubby enough, and brown enough to be a perfect princess. And so she goes and she auditions and she gets the part. And I think that's a great message for kids is whoever we think Snow White is, for example, someone else can portray her just fine. This is a fun first day of school book. It's really very traditional, except it's a fairy. So the school bus is a swan, which is great fun. And in school, if you have a question, you should quietly raise your wand. So that's fun. And they have some other duties that they learn to do in school that kids will enjoy. Any kid who is fond of fairies will like this one. This is kind of like that ta-da story. This is sibling rivalry. The evil princess brings chaos, and the brave knight is there to get things back to where they should be. So it starts off with the evil princess tripping the brave knight, and then they have a fight. And so the magic mirror steps up and says they have to both go to their own rooms. And so they do, but it's boring in their old room. It's no fun. So they decide to go on a quest. And the quest is the cat that's sleeping on a shelf above the bathtub that happens to have water and bubbles in it. I'm not sure why. There's nobody in the bathtub. But they have a little kerfuffle, and the evil princess pushes the brave knight into the bathtub, and they both get in trouble again because they are both loyal to their personas. The evil princess says that is what an evil princess would do. And the brave knight, of course, tolerates it all with a stoic face. Maud did not look like or act like the other 4 night dragons. They teased and bullied her, made fun of the fact that she could not fly or breathe fire. Her only friend, Mouse, encourages her to try, but she was too scared. But one day the sky was clear and the sun did not set. The other dragons had not come to blow their smoke to hide the sun and bring on night. With Mouse by her side, Maud flew and blew beautiful, colorful smoke to hide the sun. And now we have colorful sunsets because of Maud. So a nice how it came about story. In the middle of the town is the very last castle. No one goes in or out, and none of the townspeople wonder why. There could be giants or worse in there. There is one girl named Ib who is curious, and one day she knocks on the door. Snakes! She runs away. I don't know if there really were snakes. But the next day she receives an invitation in the mail to visit the castle, and so she goes and she walks inside and she makes a new friend. And soon all the people of the town come to visit the castle and talk with the last person who lived there. So just because people say we don't know what's there, but it could be terrible, doesn't mean you shouldn't just give it a little try and check it out. Now earlier we had the night dragon, now we have dragon night, so I'm confused. But this is fun too, because Georgie, who was a young boy, is afraid of the night. He's afraid of the dark. He says it's too dark, too quiet. Being alone makes everything worse. When his favorite book hits the floor and a dragon comes out of it, the dragon whispers to him that he is afraid of the night in the book and he is running away. And the boy says, well, I'll go with you. And they go on a wonderful flight over the city, and they see lights over where the fair is. And the dragon talks to the boy about how really night isn't completely dark, and there isn't anything really bad hiding anywhere. And after a while they begin to realize that they're talking about 2 different kinds of nights. The boy's afraid of the dark and the dragon is afraid of the night in shining armor. So they have to get their story straight. And the dragon helps Georgie get back to his home, and Georgie writes a new story for the dragon with a knight who has a baseball bat instead of a sword. And so the dragon can go back in that story and then come back out the next night to spend time with Georgie. It's a reassuring story for children who are also afraid of the dark, and the dragon's soothing words will also help the young listeners. Oh, this is a whippersnapper. Baby dragon is a nuisance and annoying. At the castle, he's always flying through the hallways, making people jump out of the way, and they're knocking things down, and they're really getting fed up with him. But one day he finds a friend in a young girl who has just the same idea of fun as he does. And she rides him over to the forest, and they go exploring and digging in things and finding a little cave that they can have a nap in. And then when they get back to the castle, they can sit and be polite and enjoy a meal and enjoy other people. So they got their zoomies out and they get to sit and relax a little bit. It's a fun look at friendship. And kids are always interested in friendship with a dragon. This one is hilarious. The narrator says, a horse wearing a red hat is probably just a horse with messy hair. Or he doesn't want the sun in his eyes. Or he's trying to keep his head dry, right? Is it a unicorn with a hat? I don't know. The clever art shows the horse after he takes off the hat, and it looks like he has a horn, but maybe it's that thing in the background because they're basically silhouettes, and something in the background, like a big blade of grass or a church steeple, could be what makes it look like he's a unicorn, and you never really know. The back of the book has a picture of the horse or unicorn right up at the top where the kids can take the book and hold it up and make a unicorn horn look like it's coming out of the horse. if they want to. So that's a little bit of fun too. Gondra is a little dragon, and her mother is from the west, and her father is from the east. Each of them has different attributes unique to their particular type of dragon, and some attributes that are the same. Gondra has some from each of his parents, and they talk a little bit about what he has from each. But the most important thing is Gondra is their treasure, and they love her. There's 3 books I put on the list. I think there's 5 altogether about Hilda, and they're a little bit older. Hilda and her mother live in probably Norway or somewhere like that, and they live out in the country, and she loves to wander the wilderness and draw pictures of what she sees and explore and discover things. And she is very open and accepting of all the different types of mythological characters that are out there. She encounters a troll, and you see that man, the wood man, sitting on the log, and the animal in front of her is her pet. They never say what kind of animal that is. So there are several books about here, and these are full color graphic novel style tellings. And I love the fact that what she wants to do is help everybody. There's Hilda and the Midnight. This is the 2nd book in the series, The Midnight Giant, and The Bird Parade is the 3rd book. So take a look at these. They're available in paperback, I believe. Oh, Unicorn. Unicorn thinks he's pretty great. Well, Goat is just doing great. He's feeling pretty good. He zooms to school on his orange bicycle, and he's looking pretty good until Unicorn flies across the sky and lands in front of him at the school and completely overshadows him. Later, Unicorn brings some almost good Rice Krispie bars to school. Right then, Unicorn makes it rain cupcakes, so he's overshadowed again. And Goat is getting pretty grumpy and pretty jealous. So he sits down and he eats his goat cheese pizza, and Unicorn comes over and smells it and says, "That's wonderful. Goats have cheese? Unicorns don't have cheese. You're so lucky." And then he looks at his hooves and he says, "Your hooves are cloven. My hooves are no good. You're so lucky." So again, Goat's starting to feel better about himself and who he is and what he has that Unicorn doesn't have. So finding the good in others is a great way to go. This book came out, I think, in 2016, but the sequel came out this year, which is Unicorn is Maybe Not So Great After All. Unicorn is ready for the first day of school, but no one seems to think he's special anymore. All of his newness has worn off. All the other kids at school do is look and talk about rubber bands that look like different things, such as a donut, or the moon, or a bicycle tire. These rubber bands are great. So, because the rubber bands are new and fantastic, Unicorn thinks, "Oh, I can be new and fantastic too." So the next day he goes way over the top, drives everybody crazy. He's so annoying. So the day after that, he stays home. He doesn't go to school, doesn't feel good. But after school that day, his friends are at the door knocking and finding out how he's doing and coming on in. They said, "Well, we missed you. Yes, you were annoying. You were super annoying, but you're our friend." So that's kind of fun. This is kind of a different book. It starts off with the traditional Cinderella story in the first 3 chapters, and then it takes a curve. Cinderella wants to own her own cake shop, and the prince would really like to try farming. They become friends, only friends, not romantic, and pursue their dreams. And it ends with the thought, everyone can be a fairy godmother if they help someone who needs help. And anyone can be a wicked stepmother. Then the author mentions that Cinderella, or Ella now, helps liberate people from the things that held them back from being their true selves. And another fun thing about it is that this book contains the authentic silhouette art from Arthur Rackham that was used many years ago in another Cinderella, more traditional Cinderella book. I bet you didn't know that dragons only eat noodles on Tuesday. This starts with a couple of sample stories that are too short and unsatisfying, like "Once upon a time, the end." That's not a story. The 2 characters, the one little blue guy and the little yellow rabbit-like guy, discuss story ideas with the blue guy saying there has to be a dragon in the story. So they come up with one. The dragon is about to eat a knight when a damsel reminds him that dragons can only eat noodles on Tuesday. So he puts down the knight and he eats the noodles, but Dennis the dragon is not happy. He is really not satisfied. And he's still hungry, and he's looking at these two creatures, and they suddenly realize today is Wednesday. So the book ends with the two creatures starting one more story about two guys escaping from the belly of a dragon. It's a clever introduction to the qualities of stories, and maybe listeners can finish that last story that got started in the book. How in the world do they ever get out of the belly of a dragon? Some picture book nonfiction. This one is the story of how two girls fooled their first their parents and then the world with their photos of fairies. In 1917 in Cottingsley, England, Elsie took a picture of her younger cousin Frances, and also in the photo was this group of fairies, and the girls insisted they were real, and people ended up believing them. It wasn't until 1983 that the girls admitted that they had staged it all and that the fairies were cut out of paper and set around to look real. So that joke, so to speak, lasted for that many years. And this is just a picture book story of that actual happening. This book is beautiful, but it is not the Disney version. Kids looking for the little dragon or the little bug are going to be disappointed. But it's a wonderful book. It's brief. It's a retelling of the Battle of Mulan, and it contains the original ballad in Chinese on the back end papers. And so it tells that she was away 12 years helping to fight for the kingdom, according to this ballad that was translated by a lady who knows her Chinese and English. So it is a beautiful book. The artwork is wonderful. So think about that. I don't know if kids will be too disappointed because it's pretty straightforward, and when you're looking for the Disney version, you might be disappointed. A few early chapter books are what I call early chapter books. This is the 5-minute fairy tales book. It has 12 fairy tales in it, all ones we've known and read before. They're standard stories told well, with appealing full-color art by, of course, Mary Engelbreit. There are a couple of differences. Cinderella has a silver slipper instead of glass, and it is Hansel and Gretel's mother, not stepmother, who innocently sends them into the woods to pick strawberries for supper when they become lost. So she wasn't trying to get rid of them. King Flashy Pants is hilarious. It's great fun. I think kids who like a little bit of art, lots of artwork and a little bit of trouble will enjoy these. King Edwin is 9, and he is the kind king of Edwinland. Unfortunately, his neighbor is Emperor Nubisan, who rules Nubisonia, and he is evil. He wants to take over Edwinland, and he calls King Edwin King Flashy Pants. Well, that's kind of rude. Nubisan's plan is to befriend the peasants of King Edwin and make promises he won't keep, including dealing with the dragon. When the kids look at the picture, they'll see an obvious cow with candles on its nose. And he is off to a great start when he finds that King Edwin and his closest associates have fled and cannot be found. Can King Edwin keep his kingdom, or will it be lost forever? Well, because there's a sequel, you know that yes, he could. But there's 3 books so far, then all of them I borrowed from Lincoln City. In the second book, King Edwin has promised to defeat the creature from Krong in single combat, but he didn't realize that meant he had to fight him by himself because he wasn't quite sure what that phrase meant. So he's kind of in trouble with this great creature. And then there are the Toys of Terror. Again, this has black and white art on almost every 2-page spread, and it carries the story along. And I think kids who like Diary of a Wimpy Kid, though this is for a little bit younger group, they'll enjoy this one. Some fiction for grades 2 to 5 or so. We'll start with More Than a Princess. Aislind of Iliasan is more than just a princess. She is half fairy and half Padrasi, with magical gifts from each side of her heritage. And she's venturing through the woods with her fairy friends when she's alarmed to hear a band of humans coming through. How did they get past the guarded magical passageway? She has to find out, and she has to find out what they're up to. So she gets captured by them. They say they're protecting her. They're actually kidnapping her. They're trying to go through, they didn't realize this was fairyland where they came. They're trying to take a shortcut from their kingdom to the neighboring kingdom they're having a war with so they can surprise the other kingdom with their attack. But Aisla is a clever girl, and she has great help from her subjects and her friends, and she is determined to keep anything bad from happening. It's a great story, and book 2 just came out this week. It's called Power of a Princess. I haven't seen it yet. Nico Bravo this is book 1, so we're pretty sure there's going to be more. This is full color graphic novel about mythological characters, the Greek kind. Nico, Lula, a sphinx, and Buck, a unicorn, work at Vulcan's celestial supply shop, and they know their stuff. But a new customer turns everything upside down. Her name is Aelwulf, and she is a descendant of Beowulf. She plans to slay Cerberus because he is a monster. But if she does, everyone in Hades can leave the underworld and come to the land of the living, and it will be chaos. So Nico and his friends are going to try and stop her. And lots of trouble and lots of excitement happen in this book. The story is concluded. This story is concluded in this book, but because it's book 1, you know they're going to have more adventures. This is another graphic novel. It's great fun. There are 5 authors and 3 illustrators that present 5 fairy tales with twists. So they include Ninjarella, Red Riding Hood Superhero, Super Billy Goat's Gruff, Snow White and the 7 Robots, and Hansel and Gretel and Zombies. So you can see from the artwork on the cover that they are clever and fun and a twist on the real fairy tales. And this has a number 1 on the spine. So there's bound to be more in this series. I haven't seen anything announced yet, but I'm looking forward to seeing the next volume. This is volume 3 of 6 in the Superhero Girls series. It's a full color graphic novel also, and those watching the show on TV will be familiar with the characters, and I saw a couple of TV shows, and this book follows right along with that type of story. In this book, it's summer vacation, and this year Wonder Woman is invited to visit her father, who is Zeus, on Mount Olympus. Soon she and her friend Bumblebee are competing with all the gods to capture but not harm Zeus's favorite pet, the Chimera. But it isn't long before Ares and Stripe are starting a war in Metropolis, and every superhero is going to be needed to stop them. In this version, because they're all going to school, you can see Harley Quinn down there. The bad guys are not bad guys yet. They're kind of mischievous, but they're not bad yet. So they're all friends at school. This is the first book in another new series called the Unicorn Rescue Society. There are, I think, 4 books out so far. In this book, Elliot, who's a new student, probably in middle school, he is timid and he tries to avoid trouble. But his new friend, Uchina, is outgoing and bold. On Elliot's first day, the class is visiting the Pine Barrens of New Jersey. When they both fall behind the class, they discover a strange creature who needs their help. The small animal turns out to be a young Jersey devil, a legendary creature like Nessie in Scotland. Thus begins their first adventure with Professor Fauna and their secret Unicorn Rescue Society. And book 2 is about the Basque dragon. They go to Spain, to the Basque region of Spain, and look to help a dragon there. And kudos to Adam Gidwitz, because when he ventured out of the United States, he now has a co-author who is from the group or the nationality or the ethnic group that is being written about. So they are partnering with these stories. This one is Sasquatch and the Muckleshoot. The Muckleshoot are a North American Indian tribe, and Joseph Rushock is his co-author for this one. And the 4th one so far is about the Chupacabras, who are a Mexican fairy tale or creature, and David Bowles, who is of that group, is his co-author there. So he did a lot better than the CSLP did in bringing in people who will help keep the story where it should be and keep it from becoming wrong, I guess is the word I want. So I've seen 4 books so far in this series. They could do some more, I don't know. This is hilarious too. This is King of the Mole People. And it has lots of mud and bodily noises. So kids are gonna like that. It has, again, artwork on almost every 2-page spread. In this book, Doug Underbelly is doing his best to be normal. He's trying to be normal, but things just keep, weird things keep sticking to him. It's not easy. His dad is cooking with eel. Everything is eel because it's in the river and they can catch them. So he has to take that to school in his lunch. He lives in a creaky old mansion surrounded by gravestones. And also Magda, the girl on the cover, the weird girl at school, won't leave him alone. And if that weren't enough, just 2 weeks ago, he got crowned King of the Mole People. And that he has to go down that hole to visit his kingdom and help make decrees and proclamations to help stem any kind of unrest that they might have. And he is trying his best to be normal, and that's just not going to happen for him. It's great fun. Completely different is The Undercover Princess, which is book 1 in the Rosewood Chronicles. The main character here, her name is Lottie Pumpkin, and she is a regular girl. She's worked very hard to get a scholarship to the Rosewood Academy. And her roommate turns out to be Ellie Wolf, the crown princess of Maradova, who wants nothing more than a chance at an ordinary life. And so no one has ever seen a picture of the princess, or there's the press know nothing. They know she exists, but nobody's seen her, knows what she looks like. And because they're roommates, and because Lottie is very polite and princess-like, and her name is Lottie Pumpkin, all the kids at school who know that the princess is there, but they don't know who she is, they think it's Lottie because she's nice, she cares about people, she tries to help people, just the things a princess would do. And Ellie is kind of off the handle and a little bit wild, but not too bad. And so they end up allowing that thought to continue so that if anything happens, because there are some people out there trying to kidnap royalty, it will happen to Lottie first, which doesn't sound good for Lottie, but she's willing to be in that position. Book 2 is called Princess in Practice, where this is their 2nd year at the Rosewood Academy. And after the 1st year, they discovered that there's a group called Leviathan who is trying to change the structure of society by kidnapping the children of kings and queens and other royalty. And so they are trying their best to keep under cover, so to speak. Also, weird things are happening at the school this year. Kids are all of a sudden acting very strangely for no good reason and then passing out. And then eventually they come back to themselves. So they have to try and figure out what Leviathan is up to, and also why these kids are having this problem. And there's going to be one more book called The Lost Princess, which came out on September 5. I haven't seen it yet, but I'll have to keep looking. This is a muted full-color graphic novel. It's a modern-day version of Persephone. She is 15 in this, and she is kidnapped and taken to Hades in order to lure her mother Demeter there. It is revealed later in the book. The human, Chancellor Mithra, wants Demeter there as she is the only one who can open the gate to Tartarus, since she's the one that locked it. He wants the magic from inside there, and he wants to keep everyone in Hades locked in there, and limited food and limited other items. This is, Persephone wants to help those in Hades, and she also wants to thwart Mithra. It's an alternate story of Persephone who is trying to find out who she is and what she can contribute to the world. The Whatever After series currently, as far as I can tell, has 13 books in it. I found this book at Walmart, and it has the first 3 books in one paperback binding. They are Fairest of All, which is about Snow White, If the Shoe Fits, Cinderella, and Sink or Swim, which is probably The Little Mermaid, but I haven't read those 2 yet. I've only read Snow White. And that kind of gets the story started. The girl and her younger brother and her family have moved to a new house, and they're trying to get settled in. And the first night, the boy comes up and wakes her up in the middle of the night because he's been in the basement, and there's a weird mirror down there that's making a strange noise. So they go down together, and they end up getting sucked through the mirror into Snow White's world. And the first thing they do is stop Snow White from taking a bite of the apple. Well, that was nice, but now, because she didn't bite the apple, the prince doesn't find her, and the prince doesn't marry her. And now what do they do to help her find the prince? So they have to get her story back on track before they can leave that land and go back to their world. So I'm assuming that that kind of thing will happen throughout the series. Maybe some of you are familiar with that series more than I. Love this book. It's Max and the Midnights. It's set in the Middle Ages. Max is an apprentice to his uncle Budrick, a troubadour who is terrible, but Max wants to be a knight. Joining up with some other kids and a bumbling wizard, Max tries her best, yes, Max is a girl, to fulfill the prophecy that a young lady will save the kingdom of Bijovia from an evil usurper, King Ghastly. And it's full of cartoon-like illustrations to enhance the fun. They're in black and white, if I remember right. And I believe that there can be, this story is complete in and of itself in this book, but it looks like they can have more adventures in the future. So keep an eye out for that. Here comes my favorite book cover. I think this is great. The Knights of the Round Table have been making up stories of their most recent adventures since dragons and dark knights are few and far between. To teach them a lesson, Merlin sends them back in time to face dinosaurs. And they have their work cut out for them. Survival is prime. Humorous with some danger and plenty of black and white illustrations that will appeal to the readers. And there's already a second book, Knights and Monsters. The knights, well, 4 knights and 1 archer who faced the dinosaurs in the first book are a bit bored with searching for the Holy Grail and with their regular life in Camelot. And while they're walking along the shore, an empty boat sails up to them and it stops. Wars gets on, and so all 5 of them are sailing away to the Orkney Islands off Scotland. There they end up facing a number of monsters several nights in a row. It seems Morgase has set the monsters to kill the knights so that she can then kill Arthur and they take the throne. This is another adventure with danger and some humor, and the frequent, again, black and white illustrations will be appreciated by the readers. And I don't know if he has another one up his sleeve or not. I haven't seen anything about another book. Oh, I love this one. I just read this last week. Just got it last week. This is by Sarah Prinius, who wrote the 4-book series, I think it was, about magic. And this one is about a boy named Raffi Bywater. He is unlike anyone else. The people in his village don't trust him. They don't hate him, but you know, he's part of their village. His father is the best weaver in town. But they think he spends way too much time in an abandoned dragon lair up on the fell. And when a stranger, Mr. Flitch, accuses Raffi of being dragon touched, he sets off to discover who he really is. He doesn't know what dragon touch means. I mean, he doesn't get cold. He can see far distance very well. And also, if he gets angry, he can start fires. He doesn't mean to, but it happens. So he has to go figure out, who am I and what's going on? On his journey, he befriends a brilliant scientist, a young lady, Maud, who has secrets of her own. Together, they search for dragons because dragons have been disappearing. And they want to find out what's happening to them. And they go to talk to dragons. Raffi can talk to dragons. The girl cannot. And there's a steam engine car chase included in the story, so you don't know what all is going to come together. For readers who enjoyed Magnus Chase and the Gods of Asgard series, this is a 9 short story collection, one from each of the 9 realms. That's told with characters from this series, except Magnus is not present in this book. Thor connects the stories as he has decided to run through each of the 9 worlds to log an incredible number of steps on his fitness newt. It's a fun visit with some favorite characters, some facing harder challenges than others, and it will be popular with fans of this series. And I hesitate to use the word short story collection, but that's technically what it is. And here's another one, but this is wonderful too. 2 books from India of traditional folk tales are brought together in this one volume containing 8 wisdom stories. In them, Prince Vira and Suku, his best friend, occasionally step in for the king to listen to complaints and disagreements among the subjects. Some of the stories may be familiar to adults, but that they will intrigue those new to the logic used by the prince. For example, one merchant charged a poor man for enjoying the aroma of his delicious baked goods. In another, a man sells his neighbor a well, but did not include the water. Compassion and empathy are emphasized, and some humor is included as well. Stylized black and gray illustrations throughout add to the stories, and there are only two-page spreads without any art. So kids like me, I always loved having art in books too. This is a full-color graphic novel. Princess Maxine is turning 10, which is when her fairy godmother Amber will bestow a special gift upon her. She is appalled when the gift she receives is the powers of every princess in the known universe. She doesn't care if she can embroider a beautiful thing. That's not her deal. She wants to be a detective. How is that going to help her? When her younger brother, Princess Robert VI, Bobs, is kidnapped, Max, now Mega Princess, and Justine, her trusty pony, who she calls Jerk Pony, are on the case. They travel through various lands, such as Tiny Kingdom and Underwater Kingdom, searching for her brother and for those who took him. The princess's new powers come in handy a few times, but will she be able to find Bobs? And again, this book the story is all complete in this one book, so you get the result of the story by the end. Some nonfiction for grades, I don't know, how am I doing on time? Oh, I'm doing okay. Grades 2 to 6 or whatever. This is a beautiful book, and it's, as it says, Scottish folk and fairy tales. There are 10 classic Scottish tales in there, and some of them will sound familiar, such as The Wee Bannock, think of the gingerbread man, and others may be new to the reader, such as the one about the water kelpie, which is a traditional Scottish creature, and so kids here may not have ever heard of that before. But the artwork throughout is beautiful. Every page has art of some kind on it, except I think 2. And I've only read 7 of the 10 stories, but they're all good. No, this is not a typo. It is a very short, entirely true history of unicorns. And it's not very long, but each 2-page spread has 1 or more illustrations and information on animals or ancient histories, such as those by Theseus from 2,300 years ago, that led people to believe that unicorns were real. So this is kind of a history of how we came to think there were real unicorns, animals that could have made people think that, and it covers a variety of topics, like the popularity of the narwhal horn, where people thought that was a true unicorn horn, which really solidified their belief in the unicorn, and mythical creatures from different lands that also carry kind of a unicorn theme with them. And it includes a little bit about the famous medieval tapestries that are now housed in New York. And at the back, it includes a recipe for unicorn poop bark. So you might want to cook that for your kids or mix it up. I don't remember if it has to get, it's worth a try. I haven't cooked it. This is handy. It's a happily ever crafter book. It has instructions for a variety of crafts directed at kids. There's plenty to choose from. Shields, coat of arms, castle towers that you could use as popcorn. I was really interested in that one because I like popcorn. And there are also some games in there, 3 games that you could play too. I've looked through the book and the crafts look good, but I haven't tried to make anything yet. So I think it's okay. I think it's worth doing. I just have a few teen titles, but I'm hoping to add to this list in the future and add some other titles throughout the list. So you have the list now, I hope, but look again in the future if you're looking for a few more titles, because I will have added some by next year. That's only a month away almost. So for younger teens, oh yes. Now I read Aru Shah, and the first Aru Shah, which was terrific. I haven't caught up with any other Rick Riordan Presents until I got this book at the library. Tristan, who is in 7th grade and lives in Chicago, he recently lost his best friend Eddie in a school bus accident and is sent to spend a month in Alabama on his grandparents' farm. The first night there, strange things begin to happen. He's already had some strange dreams. But the first night there, something that looks like a doll steals Eddie's journal, and Tristan has to chase after it outside and out into the field and across to the woods. He falls through the sky and he lands in a different world that has John Henry, High John the Conqueror, Brer Rabbit, and Brer Fox in it. It is up to Tristan to lure Anansi from wherever he is hiding so he can fix the hole in the sky. Anansi can weave the sky back together. Tristan learns to stand up for his friends and to fight with them. He is also named an Anaseesum, which means storyteller, and his special abilities with it may save the day. This is also marked as book 1, so I don't know how many there'll be in this series, but I'm guessing 3 because that's pretty traditional, but I don't know. It's 482 pages, but it read so fast. It just keeps you pulling you through. This is the first book in the Once Upon a Con series, con as in Excelsicon, an annual gathering to celebrate the fictional TV series Starfield, as well as Star Wars and Star Trek, and many other existing and fictional movies and TV franchises. And it's an obvious play on Cinderella. It's set in Atlanta. Elle is the daughter of the founder of Excelsicon, and he passed away a few years ago, and now she must do whatever her stepmother or stepsisters demand. She hopes to win the costume contest at the event, the Excelsicon, in order to win a trip to California and get out of there. Darian Freeman, who is going to play Prince Carmador in the movie of Starfield, and Elle had posted a comment about this guy. I don't think he can handle it. And then she found out later that he is a big fan of this series, and actually he's doing a really good job. She currently has a job on the Magic Pumpkin, that van you see there, which is a food truck, with her new friend Sage, the driver who has green hair. Sage loves her green hair. And all of these things will come together. The big ball at the Excelsicon is kind of like the Princess Ball in Cinderella, so it's great fun. Book 2 is called The Princess and the Fangirl, which is a play on The Prince and the Pauper. And it's 1 year later, and Excelsicon is meeting again. So all of this takes place again at Excelsicon. And we learn more about a few characters in book 1, but there are new characters that we meet and spend more time with. And again, it's great fun, all kind of following a little bit of the original fairy tale or folk tale. And the third book is coming out in June of next year, and it's called Bookish and the Beast. Well, that's one of my favorite fairy tales, so I'm going to have to read that one. This is a full-color graphic novel. It's book 1 of 2 in this series. The 2 books finish the series. Pepenia, or Poppy, is the illegitimate daughter and only living child of the recently deceased king. Her uncle takes the throne, and he is happy to have her in his court. But someone is trying to kill her. Her sworn protector, one of the Sleepless, guards her. And the Sleepless take a vow, and they don't sleep ever after they've taken this vow, until sleep finally catches up with them. So this has court intrigue, puzzling out the possible murderer, and concern over what will happen to her sleepless protector, Cyrenik, when sleep finally overtakes him, because eventually they fall into a sleep, and they sleep for years, and then they die. Or most of the time, that's what happens. It gives quite a puzzle to the reader. And book 2, called Sleepless Volume 2, is also a full-color graphic novel, and it completes the story. It's a kind of an unusual place and an unusual story, but beautiful artwork and intriguing in the courts of this different land from where we live. I only have 1 book for older readers so far, and it's a doozy. It's called Stepsisters by Jennifer Donnelly. It's a fairy tale revisit again of Cinderella, but in this one, it's all about one of the stepsisters. Her name is Isabella, and she had cut off 2 of her toes in order to fit into the slipper. And she almost got away with it, but the blood that came coming out was discovered, and she was reviled for her deception. Now she and her sister are not welcome in town at all, and they have to go there every so often to sell eggs and try and get some food. But they are not doing well. So to complicate Isabella's life, the trickster Chance has stolen her life's map from the Fates and is determined to change her path. At the same time, Tanaquil, a fairy queen, has given her the task of finding the missing pieces of her heart. A war is on the way, and Isabella might be able to alter its course if she can determine the right thing to do. This all sounds complicated, but it flows very well. And the idea of chance and the fates at odds and the fairy queen coming into it too, all working to see what Isabella will end up choosing, because it's up to her to choose what she wants to do. And I think that's a great lesson in the book. Everything is up to us, how we choose what we do with our lives. So that's my last book, and I hope that was good for you. Let me see if I can get this back. Does anybody have any questions or comments? I don't know. Let's see. Do I have to stop sharing, I think? Why am I not seeing anything? Oh, there, stop share. I got it now. There we go.
Questions here? Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you. I hope that was helpful, and email me or give me a call if you have any questions or need anything, or if your USB is faulty.
All right, thank you, Sally.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.